Well, the term systems thinking is really a mixed bag, and I use it very, very cautiously. First, both words are problematic, but the word system is the most problematic, because if you say the word system, the picture or image that pops up into most people's head is computer system. Like, we need a systems expert here because our system's not working. The second most common association is management control system, as it's not my fault, it's the stupid system. Right? So these are the two associations that come first to people, and neither of them is what we're trying to help people understand. So whenever I'm trying to help people understand what this word system means, I usually start off by saying, are you part of a family? Everybody is a part of a family. Have you ever been seen in a family people producing consequences in the family, how people act, how people feel, that aren't what anybody intends? Yep. How does that happen? Well, then people can tell their stories and think about it, but that then grounds people in not the jargon, system or systems thinking, but the reality that we live in webs of interdependence. A family is a fairly close-knit one. You can kind of see most all the key players. But still, even though we can identify maybe on a list of 10 or 15 names, here's all the key people in my immediate family, still the complexity of interactions amongst all those people is obviously such that consistently families produce outcomes that nobody wants, which is the other kind of, you might say, fundamental rationale for all of this. It's not to, quote, understand systems. That's an abstraction. It's to understand how it is that the problems that are the most vexing and difficult and intransigent that we all deal with come about. And obviously, to get a perspective on those problems that gives us some leverage and some insight as to what we might do differently. Now, when you ask, what does it take in a business context for people to start to discern non-obvious areas of leverage? The answer is a very deep and persistent commitment to real learning. And there's a couple features of this kind of deep commitment to learning. One is I have to be prepared to be wrong. Again, if it was pretty obvious what needed to be done, we'd already be doing it. So I'm part of the problem, almost for sure. My own way of seeing things, my own sense of where there's leverage is probably part of the problem. This is the domain we've always called mental models. If I'm not prepared to challenge my own mental models, the likelihood of finding non-obvious areas of high leverage is very low. Secondly, you need to really triangulate. You need to get different people from different points of view who are seeing different parts of the system to come together and collectively start to see something that individually none of them see. And thirdly, you need to be prepared that when you do start to see an area of relatively high leverage, it may take some time to develop, adopt, and apply really alternative behaviors and approaches. It may be years before a relatively higher leverage approach really bears fruit. Intelligence is always about systems. It's one of the reasons we don't really even need terms like systems thinking. You can say, well, show me an example where people have acted really intelligently. And almost always the examples will have to do with balancing the short term and the long term. They'll have to do with some ability to forego short-term benefits in the sake of investing in something in the long term. They're not just about opportunism and getting the most we can in the shortest period of time. Almost never will people give examples like that. They'll say, oh yeah, I was part of a team there was real collective intelligence in that team. That's the other thing to me that's very important about the notion of intelligence or smart in a social context. We all probably spend too much time thinking about smart individuals. It's one of the problems with school. It's very individualistic, very much about the smart kid and the dumb kids. Okay? That's not the kind of smartness we need. The smartness we need is collective. We need cities that work differently. We need, industrial sectors that work differently. We need value chains and supply chains that are managed from the beginning to the end to really produce social, ecological, and economic well-being. That's the concept of intelligence we need, and it will never be achieved by a handful of smart individuals. It's not about the smartest guys in the room. It's about what we can do collectively. So the intelligence that matters is going to be collective intelligence, and that's the concept of smart that I think will really tell the tale.